Thanks for joining me for this demonstration of the physician on-call system. My name is Joe Peterson. My email address is shown on the screen if you need to contact me. There are several advantages to the physician on-call system. First, it's built in Microsoft Excel, so staff people at the hospital that are comfortable with Microsoft products will recognize the screen very easily. There's simple data entry involved in the system. There's no typing. So to put a physician's name into an on-call date, for example, a hospital staff person will click on a drop-down arrow and choose a physician off the drop-down list. It's easy for hospital staff to add new physicians to the list. There is an on-call physician list that is emailed every day to departments across the hospital, and this is automatically done, even on weekends. There's no staff involvement. You decide as the hospital what time of the day you want this to be sent out, and the system automatically sends it out to the desired departments automatically. Some more advantages to the system. It is customized to the exact needs of your hospital. It is truly turnkey. There's no setup work on the hospital's part. There are built-in standard and customized reports are included, and it's reasonably priced at only $1,099. The included reports in the system include an on-call report for the current date, reports for each hospital specialty. These reports are date specific, so the hospital staff can choose to see all the physicians that are on call for surgery, for example, for a date range maybe between March the 1st and March the 15th. There are customized reports for departments, so if some departments require different information about the on-call physician information, we can easily customize a report for them. This is all included in the flat fee. There's also custom filter reports for viewing specific dates and specialties. The staff can choose a date, and then they can just click on buttons in order to see only certain specialties in the report. And I want to take you through some of the highlights of the physician on-call system. I'm in the system right now, and this is the lead screen in the system. And let's say, for example, I want to enter on-call data for some of the specialties at the hospital. So I'll click on the Enter On-Call Data button. It takes me into an on-call input switchboard screen. And in here, it shows the different specialties that the hospital has. Again, this is all customizable, so it'll fit exactly the needs of your hospital. I'll choose anesthesia input. It takes me into a spreadsheet. It shows me at the top, I'm working with the anesthesia input screen. I have all the different days of the year listed. There are different columns. There's the current column, the original column, the change 1, the change 2, and the change 3 column. You'll see how this all works in a moment or two. So let's say, for example, I want to input information for March the 7th for anesthesias. So I move down to the March the 7th date. I click on the original column. I click on the drop-down arrow, and it gives me the listing of all the possible physicians that could be on call for anesthesia. I'll choose Miller, for example, and then in the current column, it shows that Miller has been the physician selected to be on call on that date. I would choose the next date. I would choose the next physician, and so on. And it populates itself over in the current column. Now, if, for example, I got a call from, or hospital staff got a call from one of the anesthesists that was currently on call, and they needed to change that, I would go back into anesthesia input again. I would move down to the date they want to make a change to. I go to the change 1 column. I click on the drop-down arrow. I would choose a different physician. And then in the current column, it now shows who the current physician on call is, and it shows who was on call prior to that. If we got another call in on with the same date and they want to make a change, I go to the change 2 column, click on the down arrow, I choose a different physician, and now that's going to show over in the current column that Jones is now the current physician on call, and it was Williams on call before. So it's easy to enter information into the system. There's no typing for staff people. All they do is they click on the drop-down arrow. I'm going to go back now to return to the input screen. Just try this again. For example, if I want to put information in about medicine, I click on the medicine input choice. I'll scroll down the list to March the 7th. I'll click on the original column. Click on the drop-down arrow. It now shows me all the physicians that are possible to be on the medicine on-call list. I'll choose Butler. Dr. Butler shows up in the current column. If I need to make a change to this, I go to the change 1 column. I choose somebody else, and then over in the current column, it shows who the current physician is and who the physician was previously to it. I'm now going to return back to the input option screen. So again, all that I do is I choose different specialties from this screen here, and I enter the information in. If I need to make a change after the fact, I go back to the same screen and put the information into the other change columns. I'm now back at the main screen again, and I want to now demonstrate to you some of the built-in reports that the system has. So click on View Reports on the main screen. It takes me into a window, and in this window it shows me at the top that I can access today's on-call list. Now today's date on my computer is March the 7th, so what it's going to show me is the on-call physicians for March the 7th. Now keep in mind, I only have input information for anesthesias and also for the medicine area, so we're only going to see information for those two specialties. So I'll click on today's on-call list. It takes me into a window showing me the current date. It says on-call schedule for March the 7th, and you can see on here that the original one was Miller, and now the current one is Jones, and the last person before that was Williams. So now Dr. Jones is the current anesthesiast on call. The same thing with medicine. Foster is now the current anesthesiast on call. The original one was Butler. And it also identifies over here that it has changed on the list as well. Now, if I want to send out an email from this point here, I can easily do so. All I would do is click on Send Update Email, and that'll fire off an email to all the departments in the hospital that have requested a listing of on-call physicians. So this is the on-call schedule for March the 7th. This will be different tomorrow. Obviously, it'll be the on-call schedule for March the 8th, and so on. So that's one of the built-in reports. There's also a bunch of date range reports as well for each. There's one for each specialty. So if I go to the anesthesia date range report, and in here it shows me the anesthesia on-call schedule, I'll click on a start date. I'll use the drop-down arrow. I'm going to scroll down to March the 6th, and I want to see information for anesthesias from March the 6th to, say, March the 20th. So I choose a date range for the report I'm looking at, for the report that I want. I'll click on Filter Data. This takes me and it gives me just a listing of all the anesthesia physicians that are on call in that period from March the 6th to March the 20th. I can clear off the filter to go back to a full listing again. I can try the same idea again. I'm back to my list of reports. I'll go to the medicine date range button. In here, I'm going to choose a start date of March the 1st. I'll choose an end date of, say, March the 15th. Again, there's no data entry. It's just all clicking of buttons. I'll click on Filter Data, and what it does is shows me all the information for on-call physicians for the medicine specialty, and you can see that Dr. Foster is the one for March the 7th. So it just makes it nice and easy for staff people at the hospital to look up information on the system. I'll clear off the filter, and I'll return back to the report choices, and now I'm back to the main report changes. Sorry, the main report choices screen. There are also going to be some departments in your hospital that require customized reports. Let's say, for example, that the operating room has a specialized request. They only want to see certain on-call physician information. So I'll click on the OR report choice. And in here, it only shows 5 or 6 different specialties. They weren't interested in seeing all the specialties, so we just give them the report that they need. Again, this is all customizable. We do this work for you before the system is actually installed on your network. I'll return to report choices. And again, I'll choose maybe emergency. So the emergency department only wants to see 10 or 12 different specialties. They're not interested in all of them. So you can see the anesthesias, for example, and the medicine choices on here as well. So those are customized reports that we can customize to meet the exact needs of your hospital. There are also some custom filter reports. I'll just walk through one of them. This one's called Filtering by Specialty. So I go to the Filtering by Specialty screen. In here, it shows me a listing of all the different specialties and all the dates for the entire year. Then I have these filter buttons that I can use to filter this list. Let's say, for example, I just want to see information for the month of March. I click on the March button to filter the list down to March. I can see on here that the anesthesias for the month of March are showing up. If I want to just see the information for the medicine specialty for the month of March, I click on Medicine. There's my medicine specialty. I only have one entry put in here. If I want to see more information for both anesthesias and medicine, I would use Control on the keyboard and click. And I can now see the anesthesias for March. And further down, I'll see the medicine on-call physicians for March as well. So just a nice way to be able to do some filtering of information to only see the parts of the list that the person at the hospital wants to see by month or by selected specialty. I'll return to the report choices. So as you can see on here, there's a lot of reports that are really useful for hospital staff. They can have date range reports for every specialty. They have filter reports that they can look for only a certain information for. And we will design for you customized reports for different needs of different parts of the hospital. And also the today's on-call list is there. So there you have a brief overview of the physician on-call system. It's easy to use. It'll save the hospital staff lots of time. You get an automatic email sent every day out to hospital departments listing all the on-call physicians for that day. It provides information that the hospital departments need. It's truly a turnkey system. It's all set to go. There's no preparation work required at the hospital's end. It's reasonably priced. Thanks again for joining me on this demonstration of the Physician On-Call system. My name again is Joe Peterson. Please contact me at the email address shown at the bottom of the screen.